Obviously we're in our third day of install. This is their, first time coming through in the fall with the red zone stuff. It always gets a little bit tighter down there, and so biggest thing is you don't waste, any failure in an individual play. We got to go back and we're going to watch the tape with these guys this afternoon and clean up some of the intricate details of what we're asking them in the red zone. It does get very precise down there as far as the spacing, the timing of concepts, and that takes work. It takes us putting these plays in, and then across the board, us getting comfortable, both up front and then at the skill positions with what we're asking our guys to do. I think the biggest thing is that we come in, we get it corrected. Our guys are really coachable. They're all, really eager to work. And, that's the biggest thing is we're trying to be positive with our players. We're trying to ask them and be detailed and demanding about what we're going to ask them to do. And, the biggest thing is there's a problem if you repeat mistakes. So the next time we run that play, if we make the same mistake, that's an issue. But the first time we're kind of getting this thing rolling. All right. And, we're going to come in and get it going.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the fourth consecutive special edition of the Chicago Football Show. I'm Scott Bair alongside Carmen Vitali. This has become routine for us and kind of fun as we kind of sink our teeth into the first couple days of Bears camp. Fans were out here. Yeah. Always definitely add some juice.
I know. I got wished happy first day of training camp on the way in today, and I was like, well, we've been here for another couple days, but it is the first day that fans got a glimpse of what this team looks like now under Ben Johnson. And it was another kind of up and down day for the offense, but I mean, the energy is still there, and I'm really, it's fun now. It really feels like training camp.
Yeah, and going back to what we heard off the top of the show from Declan Doyle, he talked about a championship standard.
Yes.
They're not at the championship standard yet, nor should they be. This is the
third
practice.
Third practice.
But I did think, as we kind of sink our teeth into the course of practice, we're going to talk a lot about the offensive line. And, oh, by the way, you're going to hear from a special guest later on in the show. Bears wide receiver Olamide Zaccheaus is going to join us. All that's in the future. The present right now is this concept of a championship standard that Declan Doyle, the offensive coordinator, was talking about. Off air, we were saying that's got to be up on a wall or something.
I'm almost positive at this point. I'd be willing to bet a whole lot on the fact that is up on a wall in a meeting room, or it's in the hallway, or it's like a banner on top of all the notes or of the reports that these coaches are giving their players, because apparently they're tracking everything. If there's a team period, whether it's 11-on-11, 7-on-7, Declan Doyle told us that they are tracking everything, and that is how they are keeping track of those goals that they want Caleb Williams to hit, like the 70% completion rate. All of those little benchmarks that they are set for their players. Each individual player gets a sheet, a printout every day in the meeting room of what the prior day's practice looked like in team periods. I'm willing to bet that championship standard is even on that letterhead. I mean, it seems like this is kind of what Ben Johnson's buzzword is to kind of instill, and the culture that he's trying to build here is off of that phrase.
Yeah, and it's a good one.
It is.
I think it works and it fits. And if you can watch tape and you can get a feel for maybe how you're doing, but to see it on a sheet of paper and be like, okay, this is or isn't up to snuff.
Right.
Because going back to Tuesday when we had our first show, Ben Johnson was talking about the 70% completions. Caleb Williams talked about 4,000 yards passing, and he said, look, that's the benchmark. Yeah. So if we expect that during the regular season games, we should probably expect it in practices too. Now again, day 3, no pads.
Right.
So we're not here to be super critical of any performance this early when they're just installing things for a second go around the first time this camp. But I think it's really interesting just that's the benchmark. You see it every day and you try to kind of build upon it. I don't know if Caleb Williams is necessarily playing to that championship standard right now in practice, but they're still learning. They're still working through some things. The key thing that the Declan Doyle said that really struck with me is that they're willing to tolerate mistakes.
Right.
They are not willing to tolerate
repeat mistakes.
Right. And I think that's a huge difference.
I do too. That is a very good distinction to make if you are, because we also asked Declan Doyle, he was asked, is he at all concerned right now with what he's seeing through 3 days of practice, which again, pads aren't on, all that other stuff. And he very predictably said, no, of course not.
Yeah.
But what we are making sure of is, all right, you make a mistake, everything is a teaching moment. We're going to teach. We're going to correct those mistakes. If those mistakes are made again, then we're not going to go so easy on you. We're not going to be so positive. That's when you see Ben Johnson lose his ever-loving you-know-what. That's when you see these guys kind of get on them, because overall, this coaching staff says, Declan Doyle said they want to be positive and they want to build their players up. That's how it should be. But you also need to demand that standard in every little thing. And we've heard from so many offensive players even that say, these guys don't let us get away with anything, because what you let, if you walk by a mistake, then that becomes the new standard. I think DJ Moore was the one that said that today. So the standard, this championship standard, has to be enforced on every single detail of every single play. And so, yeah, it's not a surprise that there's some bumps in the road early when you are correcting every little thing one after the other after the other. Now, if you're cracking down on repeat mistakes, then theoretically, these mistakes and these kind of corrections should get a little better, because you shouldn't be making the same mistakes over and over.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, something else that DJ Moore talked about in his what day is this? Friday press conference. They all run together now.
They all run together.
He was talking about facing Dennis Allen's defense,
right?
And he said it never looks the same. And
even from back when he was a Carolina Panther going against the New Orleans Saints, he's like, that didn't help me. It doesn't look the same from then either.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I mean, why would they hold back,
right?
Because it's practice, and they need to practice different types of pressures. And today's practice involved pressures and seeing how the offense was going to react to it. All these things in practice, that's a good reminder. It's not everything is just 11 on 11 pickup basketball, who's going to go score a touchdown. That there are designs to even team periods where they want to work on situational things or how they deal with pressure and all this other type of stuff. But it's not the first time that we've heard about Dennis Allen kind of in that context, that he's not radioing it in to his middle linebackers either. He's walking out to the huddle each time and saying the play, obviously because it's install, showing it to them and making sure that they're all on the same page. But he's bringing the whole playbook, it seems, pretty early, and I think that's a good thing for both sides.
I do too, because I think, again, we talk about a championship standard. You have the ones going against the ones in training camp. That's the only time that happens, by the way, because once they go into season practices, you usually have the ones going against the scout team, which is made up of some backup players, special team players, all of that kind of stuff. And then you have the first team defense going against the offense, scouting the next week's opponent. So this is the only time that you really get to enforce that level of competition. And it's something that I think we've seen with Dennis Allen's defense, and you see that even with the offensive line in these team periods, because there's no pads on, but you can certainly give the looks that you need. And this is where having veteran offensive linemen comes into play, I think, because between Drew Dahlman at center, he's the one IDing certain things about the ever-changing DA defense. And then you have Joe Thuney, who, when you talk about a championship standard, well, Joe Thuney is one of few of those.
He's one.
So it's interesting, because you look at the experience that Joe Thuney has, and you look at the success that Joe Thuney has had. And I think especially, from the outside, all of us, even fans, you look at that acquisition that the Bears made and you think, okay, this is our de facto leader for the offensive line. While this offensive line is much improved on paper, none of these guys have played together, one alongside, and there's a competition at left tackle. So Joe Thuney is playing with a different guy next to him, rep in and rep out during practice. But Joe Thuney is, because of his experience, the leader on this unit. And I asked him about it in the press conference today.
Yeah, I mean, I get teased I'm the older guy, but yeah, I think just try and lean on my experience. I've seen a lot of games and different defenses and different schemes, and but there's a lot of Drew, Jonah, Braxton, these guys, they played a lot of football too, and they have a lot of experience, and they have great insights too. And I mean, as an offensive line, we're really just a tight knit bunch, and we all want to succeed together. We're a unit, and so at the end of the day, we just want to go out there and be the best we can be.
So you know that Joe Thuney is taking that role seriously when he says, he does have this experience, and he jokes that he's the old guy, but that does count for something. And it counts for something, especially when you do have a position battle next to you.
Yeah.
As the left guard, the left tackle spot is up for grabs. So Joe Thuney was even asked, has he done anything for guys like Ozzy Trapilo, who is a rookie, vying for this left tackle spot? Do you kind of help him out in certain ways, this, that, and the other? And that all goes, that's all a part of being a leader and making sure that this unit is a cohesive unit.
Yeah, and it's going to be key because the left tackle spot is important also. He needs to build chemistry with whoever that's going to be.
Exactly.
And Ben Johnson said it could be the left tackle job could be decided in 3 weeks or in 6 weeks. I'm sure Joe Thuney hopes the answer is 3 weeks,
right.
so he gets used to playing with that guy.
Correct.
Just as a note, Braxton Jones had a scheduled rest day on Friday.
He was not out on the field today, so
Right.
Ozzy Trapilo was the one taking most of the snaps, the team snaps.
Yeah, so as you're trying to build continuity, you really need that left tackle there. So they're still figuring it out. But if you're going to have a left guard that plays next to a rookie or plays next to a guy that you don't have a lot of time for, you want a guy like Joe Thuney there.
100%. That helps tremendously.
And I think that other people in the offensive line and the offense as a whole look up to him.
Yeah.
How
could you not? Right.
4 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
It's 2 different championship teams that this
Yes.
guy's done it on. He was an All-Pro last year, and he moved out to left tackle and still survived out there.
Right.
This guy does things that I think resonates around good football teams. He exudes good football. There are some guys who played on playoff teams, not a ton of them.
Right.
I think that this guy can have a much bigger impact. We're kind of running out of time on the A block. I'm gonna make a quick case for Braxton Jones. You make a quick case for Ozzy. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I get the easier one because Braxton Jones has started for
He's
3
the
years
incumbent,
already.
right.
He's the incumbent. We don't know how he's going to come back from ankle surgery, but on a line like this, you want experience. I think that's the easier argument to make, probably, and I kind of threw you into a difficult spot here.
No, it's not, because then that means if you're a rookie, you're moldable. You're clay at that point.
Okay.
And
I'd buy
listen,
that.
you can find Braxton Jones. They found in the 5th round. Ozzy Trapilo was drafted before that, so it's not to say that just because he wasn't drafted in the 1st round that he cannot be a guy that starts at that left tackle spot. And again, having a veteran like that, like Joe Thuney next to you, kind of helping you along in this process, I mean, that's invaluable experience. And then on top of that, again, Drew Dahlman in the center, and then you have Jonah Jackson on the other side. You have a really, really strong veteran presence on that interior that will only help the guys on the outside. I didn't even mention, Darnell Wright. He's still a young player, but that's what gives me hope in, this offensive line gelling together, is because these veterans on the interior know what this is supposed to look like, especially Joe Thuney and that championship standard.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's been a good conversation about championship standard, about what's going to make this offense run. That's the offensive line. There's another key member of the offense that we get a chance to talk to. Bears wide receiver Olamide Zaccheaus will join us coming up next. Welcome back, everybody, to a special edition of the Chicago Football Show here at Halas Hall. I'm Scott Bair again with Carmen Vitali, and our special guest is Olamide Zaccheaus, new Bears wide receiver. He's been with the Falcons, he's been with the Eagles, and been with the Commanders. Very successful career, now joining up with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. And OZ, just first question is this. You've been on some different teams, and you've learned some new schemes. What's the key to absorbing a new system quickly, and is there anything in specific that's going to help you learn Ben Johnson's system?
I think it's just putting the time in. The biggest thing with learning a new system is just making sure you're getting the reps off the field as well. You only get so many reps on the field during practice, so making sure you're in the books. When you go back home and thinking about the plays, I think about the plays in the shower, brushing my teeth. You have to kind of just consume yourself with the playbook and always be thinking about it. And that's the biggest thing for me as far as learning a new playbook, new offense, new terminology, new schemes. Just making sure you're always thinking about it.
What was your prep like specifically then over the summer? You get the first installs in spring, you get to kind of dive into the playbook a little bit more, but then over the summer when you're on your own, what does that prep look like?
So for me, I did a little bit each day. I tried to look at, honestly, I was looking at concepts each day. I would spend maybe 5-10 minutes each day looking at a certain concept and just processing it in different formations and different motions to it, and just different things like that. So it's not overwhelming
Right.
when you come back to camp and bullets start flying and stuff like that. You're a little tired, a little fatigued, so you're still learning it, obviously, but it just becomes easier to process, especially when, like I said, when you get a little tired.
It seems like no matter where you've been, you found a way to make an impact, whether that's over one season or when you were with the Atlanta Falcons over a longer stretch. How have you kind of been able to do that at like every stop? You find a way to make clutch moments. There's a highlight reel full of those types of plays. What is it about you that kind of allows you to show up in those big moments?
I think for me, just looking at who I am as a player is just being able to adapt and play multiple positions. So I'm always confident in what I'm able to do. It may look different in different places, but just being ready for when my number is called and when my moment is upon us. It's like you just got to be ready for it. And I've learned to just stay locked in and stay focused, because you just never know when that can be. It can be called up for you. It can be a scramble drill, anything. So I just pride myself on being able to make a play whenever whatever that looks like and whenever it may come.
We've heard a lot so far from Ben Johnson himself, from other players on this offense that want this offense to be multiple. And you talk about a lot of the variety, that we saw in Detroit and now he's bringing here. What's the biggest thing that sticks out to you then as you learn this playbook, as you go through these installs? What's the biggest thing that sticks out that really kind of you go, oh, like was there any surprises, anything like that?
I wouldn't say surprises, but you definitely, you hear things about like, how detailed he is and, how he wants certain things to look. And, yeah, you definitely feel that. But, like, if you're one yard off of where you're supposed to line up, like, he's, like, that's you're wrong. It's very, very regimented, very structured as far as how the offense is. So, and, like, those are the little details that are in this league that matter.
Sure.
It's like you line up 1 yard outside of where you're supposed to be, and the ball gets thrown and then it's a little bit too far in front of you. It's like, should have tightened down and would have been right there. So it's like those little things that he's harping on that actually matter, especially in this league.
Now, Bears fans, here's a fun fact that you may not know about OZ is that he went to, I want to get the name right, St. Joseph's Prep in Philadelphia.
Sure did.
His high school teammate was
Swift.
was
Sure.
DeAndre Swift.
For
And you've actually reunited with him. This is the second time you've played on an NFL team. You guys played in Philly together back in 23. One, that's pretty crazy that you get two professionals from the same high school team.
Yeah.
And two, to have it happen twice. What's that bond like with someone that you've known since you were a kid, and then to play with him at this level? I'm sure everybody talks about playing together in the NFL, but like this is really happening for the both of you.
Yeah, I don't think we ever really like talked about it in high school, but as we progress in our careers, it's like it could be something that possibly happens. Obviously, everything has to align, and it's aligned twice, which is crazy, especially for the first time being in the city that we went to high school.
That you guys
in.
went to high school.
Right,
So,
exactly.
So that was just a crazy full circle moment, and then kind of another full circle moment, like double back here. So it's cool. It's cool, man. Just being able to see how he's grown and developed into his own self, and I'm very proud of him, because I remember when he came in as a freshman in high school, just trying to find his way, and he helped us win a lot of games in high school while I was there. So it's been cool to see his progression and where he's at and where he'll continue to go.
I know it's early, but how has this camp then compared, and the prep for this season compared to some of those other stops that you've had? Because you were with the Eagles, you were with the Commanders last year during a very successful season for them. What does this look like in comparison?
So one thing Ben is doing, and he's doing it on purpose. Everything is very structured. Like I said, it's like just making it as chaotic as possible.
Interesting.
I love that.
But he wants us to be able to handle that.
Sure.
And it's a part of the league. It's a part of being able to handle that pressure in the fourth quarter. When we have to make a play, just games get chaotic, like very crazy. So he's creating that environment, and he wants us to handle that at a high level. And that's the standard that we want to be able to play at, and that's what will win you games in this league.
I'm always curious, and this is our last question here. When you enter into free agency and you have options, you have other teams that you can go to. Why did you select the Bears to choose to to play this season here, and with the expectation, like, what's it been like to be in this building? Is it what you hoped? Is it what you expected? Going back to that choice when you're looking at your options with your agent, you say, I'm taking the Bears, and then you get in there, and are you happy with that choice so far?
Most definitely. I think the biggest thing for me was being able to, one, contribute, and then also, build a culture. That's one thing I feel like just who I am as a player, as a person in the locker room, just I know how to do that. And Ben told me, he's like, we're going to need you to do that. You know what it looks like. You've been to the NFC Championship last year. Like, you know what it should look like in the locker room, on the field, everything. So it is everything I've been hoping it would be. And, just got to continue to build on it. It's early in camp, but just got to keep trekking away, just getting better each day.
Great stuff from Olamide Zaccheaus. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck throughout the course of camp.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Welcome back to a special edition of the Chicago Football Show, and a very special thank you to Bears receiver Olamide Zaccheaus for joining us in what was, I thought, a pretty insightful interview.
I know.
Generally kind of a quiet guy, but he was really kind of diving into the depth of learning new systems, about why he chose the Bears. A lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, I really appreciated it because he does come in with so much experience, too. I mean, he was on the Commanders last year, a Commanders team that outperformed all expectations, made it to the NFC Championship, and then before that, he was with the Eagles. Before that, the Atlanta Falcons. This is a guy that knows what it's like to be, up to a championship standard. And I really appreciated kind of him coming in and saying, Ben Johnson told me, hey, we need you on this team from a wide receiver 3 standpoint, but we need you on this team also for your experience. We need you on this team because you know what this is supposed to look like, not only on the field, but in the locker room too. And that's all part of, I think, Ben Johnson having this kind of collaborative culture, because he was mentioned too about how he leans on his staff that has a ton of experience. Well, now he's also clearly leaning on players that have a ton of experience. We talked about Joe Thuney earlier in the show, but Olamide Zaccheaus is another one of those guys that has the experience of knowing what this is supposed to look like.
Yeah, and I think talking to him during training camp is also important, because this guy is not going to win the combine, right? He doesn't have the height, weight, speed that some of these other wideouts do, but he always manages to produce. And this guy was an undrafted free agent who found his way in the league. He's been on 4 teams, but he always finds a way to produce. And as fans look for sleepers and back end of the roster for who might get that 53rd spot, you look at a guy like TJ Edwards, who we had on the show. OZ is another good example of a guy that probably that first training camp, they are stressed. They're trying to get everything right. And for those guys, the margin for error is a lot smaller than it is for somebody bigger. So to have a guy like that who's sitting up here now as an established vet, can write his name in pen on the 53-man.
Right, exactly.
And to be able to kind of come from that and establish yourself to the point that we're talking about his playoff experience really kind of says something to the unheralded journey of what some of these people that you're going to watch these preseason games. Trust me, fans, it's not Bears fans. All fans will fall in love with a wide receiver at some point, or a young running back.
I've already done it this camp too.
Have you really?
Yeah, I have.
Who is that?
JP Richardson.
I mean, I feel like we should just get to it, right?
We should, right?
Because he's earned it.
He has. Play after play, you just kind of you keep noticing his number.
Number 26.
Number 26.
Not a wide receiver number.
Not a wide receiver number. I know. I was like, is he
out of
a
position
running back,
there?
a fullback? I don't know.
But to your point, every time that we're out there watching practice, we turn to each other and we say, 26 just made another great play.
And it's from Case Keenum. It's from Tyson Bagent. It's not, he's not running with the ones by any stretch of the imagination, but he's making plays in, with the 2s and the 3s, and you can't help but notice him. He's one of those high effort, high motor, try hard guys, and you need those guys on the team. So again, if you're talking about sleepers, I think JP Richardson's one to watch.
And I think it's interesting because making the 53-man on this Bears roster, it's going to be tough. A lot of the spots are already spoken for. But let's not forget that with practice squads and practice squad elevations, meaning that you can come up for one regular season game without leaving the practice squad, that there's a chance for some of these guys that you like now that may make an impact in week 12 or week 13.
Right, especially, like as you get through, when you need that depth later in the season when guys are banged up and everything like that. That's a really good point.
So definitely keep copious notes. I feel like that's really important because Carmen and I have been keeping copious notes over the last 4 days. And guess what?
Just like Ben Johnson's staff and the way that they track all of the things. You see what I'm bringing it full circle?
Yeah, so let's go full circle. I really hope that y'all out there feel like we're up to your championship standard. I feel like that's an important thing here on the Chicago
You
Football
tell he's
Show.
a dad.
Yeah. Lots of dad jokes coming from this side of the table. But yeah, so I really think that it's been a fun 4 days, and I can't wait till we have another one coming up on Saturday, the last of our special edition Chicago football shows. And fans can come out here, so come on down. If you have tickets to Halas Hall, again, Saturday. Oh, and by the way, rate, review, subscribe to anywhere you can get your podcast. Download the Watch Marquee app. Subscribe there, too. Our YouTube channel. We're available in so many ways. It's hard to even keep track. But definitely thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to OZ, and we'll talk to you again on Saturday.
Bye, guys.